every morning you get up, you are assaulted by the hatred of God's ways. Yesterday, the president of this nation, well, he didn't tweet it. I doubt he would know what Twitter is, but whoever runs him and tells him where to go and what to say and what to do, which is the dangerous part these days, tweeted a picture of the White House, the People's House. And on the center of the balcony was not the American flag. The American flag was there, but it was off to the side. The center of the balcony was the pride flag. When you put a flag, when you raise a flag over the primary building of a government, you're telling everybody who runs that government and what its ultimate commitments are. And that's where we are. That's where we've been called to serve in. And in Ephesus, there was a tremendous amount of sexual debauchery and idolatry, just like here today. The difference being, the Ephesians did not have a foundation of Christian law that they were expressing their hatred of. Instead, this was something that they had been experiencing. This form of idolatry was something they had been experiencing for a very, very, very long time. But still, if you remember the story in Acts, when the church started growing, there's a riot there because of the deep commitment that the Ephesians had to Artemis and to their various gods and temples and deities that also had a pretty important financial element to it as well. That's always there, just like we have today. And so we have a church, and when the Lord Jesus writes to this church, he starts off saying some incredibly positive things that I think can be said about us. That's why I want us to look at this letter. So to the angel of the church in Ephesus, write, this is what the one holding the 7 stars in his right hand says. The one walking in the midst of the 7, it could be candlesticks or lampstands, either one. They're golden candlestick holder type things. It's not described for us specifically. Here's what he's, and this is, by the way, this is, if you look at the rest of the letters, this comes from the vision of the risen Lord in chapter 1. And so this is tying all of these things together. The exalted Lord, who has been enthroned in heaven, all authority is his. He's ruling the nations with a rod of iron. He's writing to his churches. His, from the world's perspective, teeny, tiny, little churches. And yet he has all authority. He is exalted. And he knows what's going on with his people. He says, I know your works. I know your deeds. And I know your toil. I know your perseverance. Think of those 3 terms. Your deeds, your works, your toil, your work, your labor, and your perseverance or your patience. The Lord Jesus knows when you serve him in his church. Tonight, as whatever group has been assigned the task, breaks down the sound equipment, takes down the speakers, vacuums under the pews because, some of the little ones lose a few Cheerios along the way. As people put the chairs away in the overflow, sometimes you might think, the Lord doesn't know. Jesus says, I know. I know. I know your deeds. I know the works that you do. When you're involved in all the things that we do, all the ministry, all the outreach, you need to realize the Lord knows what we're doing. He's intimately aware of all of our motivations. He knows when you're doing what you're doing because you just have to do it, and he knows when you're doing it because you have joy and love.
When your life's calling becomes your livelihood, agents who are realtors are here for it.